Welcome to Seiya YouTube channel. Today we're going to explain about Art of War Sense 33 to 36. The 8th chapter of the Art of War is devoted to adaptation, already seen to be one of the cornerstones of the warrior's art. Master Sun says, if generals do not know how to adapt advantageously, even if they know the lay of the land, they cannot take advantage of it. The I Ching says, persist too intensely at what is currently beyond your depth, and your fidelity to that course will bring misfortune, no gain. Adaptability naturally depends on readiness, another persistent theme of the art of war. Master Sun says, the rule of military operations is not to count on opponents not coming, but to rely on having ways of dealing with them. Not to count on opponents not attacking, but to rely on having what cannot be attacked. The I Ching says, if you take on too much without a solid foundation, you will eventually be drained, leaving you with embarrassment and bad luck. In the art of war, readiness does not just mean material preparedness. Without a suitable mental state, sheer physical power is not enough to guarantee victory. Master Sun here defines the psychological dimensions of the victorious leader indirectly by enumerating 5 dangers: to be too willing to die, too eager to live, too quick to anger, too puritanical, or too sentimental. Any one of these excesses, he affirms, create vulnerabilities that can easily be exploited by canny opponents. The I Ching says, when waiting on the fringes of a situation, before the appropriate time to go into action has arrived, be steady and avoid giving in to impulse, then you won't go wrong. The 9th chapter deals with maneuvering armies. Again, Master Sun deals with all 3 aspects of the warrior's art: the physical, social, and psychological. In concrete physical terms, he begins by recommending certain obvious types of terrain that enhance the odds of victory. High ground, upstream, the sunny side of hills, regions with plenty of resources. Referring to all 3 dimensions, he then describes ways of interpreting enemy movements. Although Master Sun never dismisses the weight of sheer numbers or material might, here as elsewhere, there is the strong suggestion that social and psychological factors can overcome the sort of power that can be physically quantified. In military matters, it is not necessarily beneficial to have more, only to avoid acting aggressively. It is enough to consolidate your power, assess opponents, and win people, that is all. The I Ching says, when you have means but are not getting anywhere, seek appropriate associates, and you will be lucky. Similarly, emphasizing directed group effort, the Art of War says, the individualist without strategy who takes opponents lightly will inevitably become a captive. Solidarity calls especially for mutual understanding and rapport between the leadership and the followers, achieved through both education and training. The Confucian sage Mencius said, those who send people on military operations without educating them ruin them. Master Sun says, direct them through cultural arts, unify them through martial arts. This means certain victory. The I Ching says, it is lucky when the rulers nourish the ruled, watching them and bringing out their talents. The 10th chapter, on terrain, continues the ideas of tactical maneuvering and adaptability, outlining types of terrain and appropriate ways of adjusting to them. It requires some thought to transfer the patterns of these types of terrain to other contexts, but the essential point is, in consideration of the relationship of the protagonist to the configurations of the material, social, and psychological environment. Master Sun follows this with remarks about fatal organizational deficiencies for which the leadership is responsible. Here again, emphasis is on the morale of unity. Look upon your soldiers as beloved children, and they willingly die with you. The I Ching says, those above secure their homes by kindness to those below. Nevertheless, extending the metaphor, Master Sun also warns against being overly indulgent, with the result of having troops who are like spoiled children. Intelligence, in the sense of preparatory knowledge, is also stressed in this chapter, where it is particularly defined as including clear awareness of the capabilities of one's forces, the vulnerabilities of opponents, and the lay of the land. When you know yourself and others, victory is not in danger. When you know sky and earth, victory is inexhaustible. The I Ching says, be careful in the beginning, and you have no trouble in the end. The 11th chapter, entitled 9 Grounds, presents a more detailed treatment of terrain, particularly in terms of the relationship of a group to the terrain. Again, these 9 grounds can be understood to apply not only to simple physical territory, but also to territory in its social and more abstract senses. The 9 grounds enumerated by Master Sun in this chapter are called a ground of dissolution, light ground, ground of contention, trafficked ground, intersecting ground, heavy ground, bad ground, surrounded ground, and dying or deadly ground. A ground of dissolution is a stage of internecine warfare or civil strife. Light ground refers to shallow incursion into others' territory. A ground of contention is a position that would be advantageous to either side of a conflict. Trafficked ground is where there is free travel. Intersecting ground is territory controlling important arteries of communication. Heavy ground, in contrast to light ground, refers to deep incursion into others' territory. Bad ground is difficult or useless terrain. Surrounded ground has restricted access, suited to ambush. Dying ground is a situation in which it is necessary to fight at once or be annihilated. Describing the tactics appropriate to each type of ground, Master Sun includes consideration of the social and psychological elements of conflict, insofar as these are inextricably bound up with response to the environment. Adaptation to different grounds, advantages of contraction and expansion, patterns of human feelings and conditions, these must be examined. The 12th chapter of The Art of War, on fire attack, begins with a brief description of various kinds of incendiary attack, along with technical considerations and strategies for follow-up. Perhaps because fire is in an ordinary material sense the most vicious form of martial art, explosives existed but were not used militarily in Sun Tzu's time. It is in this chapter that the most impassioned plea for humanity is found, echoing the Taoist idea that weapons are instruments of misfortune to be used only when unavoidable. Abruptly ending his short discussion of incendiary attack, Master Sun says, "A government should not mobilize an army out of anger. Military leaders should not provoke war out of wrath. Act when it is beneficial to do so, desist if not. Anger can revert to joy, wrath can revert to delight, but a nation destroyed cannot be restored to existence, and the dead cannot be restored to life." The 13th and final chapter of The Art of War deals with espionage, thus coming full circle to link up with the opening chapter on strategy, for which intelligence is essential. Again, turning to the efficiency-oriented minimalism and conservatism toward which the skills he teaches are directed, Master Sun begins by speaking of the importance of intelligence agents in most emphatic terms. A major military operation is a severe drain on the nation and may be kept up for years in the struggle for one day's victory. So to fail to know the conditions of opponents because of reluctance to give rewards for intelligence is extremely inhumane. Sun goes on to define 5 kinds of spy or secret agent. The local spy is one who is hired from among the populace of a region in which operations are planned. An inside spy is one who is hired from among the officials of an opposing regime. A reverse spy is a double agent, hired from among enemy spies. A dead spy is one who is sent in to convey false information. A living spy is one who comes and goes with information. Here again, there is a very strong social and psychological element in Sun Tzu's understanding of the practical complexities of espionage from the point of view of the leadership. Beginning with the issue of leadership, The Art of War also ends with the observation that the effective use of spies depends on the leadership. Master Sun says,